because I see we have many participants in here. Oh my God, I'm so happy, Oak. Oak, I want to talk to you about Jupiter in Taurus. I've been trying to get to you. I can't wait. For anybody out there, Oak is a profound astrologer, one of my dearest friends. And if you go see him on Instagram, Christopher Oak, he is, to me, going to be one of our next great astrologers of our time. Yay. Okay, then I will go. It looks like a lot of people are here, so I will go ahead and start. So in offering numerology, I thought it was important because a lot of you know me more as an astrologer. And unless you've really worked with me intimately, you might not know how much I utilize numerology as well in doing a reading. And it just fills things out in a way that, just gives direction. It helps give direction when doing a chart. And just felt like this truly, to me, of all these really complex, like hidden mysteries studies, numerology is the easiest to grasp and will give you so much that you need to know as far as, just even understanding yourself or even, understanding a cycle that you're in. I'm going to cover that a little bit coming up here. And just understanding the people around you, just like we have with astrology, it's just a little less complex. So there isn't as much noise when trying to learn numerology. And I thought I would share just a little bit of my story and how I came to use numerology. When I was 18, in fact, it was also during where the nodes are now, that we have the North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio, as many of you probably know that. I talk about it all the time. And this was I have my nodes in that configuration. So this was my first nodal return. And I had been just budding professional ballet dancer, just beginning. And I also had been training equally to be a concert pianist. I'm also classically trained in music. And I was hit with a very leveling illness. I had a very rare cancer and was thrown down. And when I was down, it was actually numerous. In fact, I have the book. I'm going to say everybody needs this book. If you're going to take the class, I want you to get this book. It's Numerology and the Divine Triangle. And I love it. One of these people, Faith Javan and Dusty Bunker. Dusty Bunker is an astrologer as well. So I like the language. But this book, my mom, I was really blessed. My Pisces moon, I have a mom who was very involved in studying all of these ancient arts. And so anyways, I came across the numerology book, and it was really the beginning of me diving deep into what the F, why do and even when I had the cancer at 18, I had been leveled so many different things from, breaking my back, having other debilitating car accident. I was in a horrible car accident, just one thing after the other. And I just didn't understand really thoroughly what all that meant until I really dove into doing my numerology numbers. I had plenty of time and I was healing. And so within the numerology, I was able to sort of accept, and I'd been looking at my astrology chart as well, but somehow there was something when reading within the numerology that it just clicked for me. And I was able to really accept some of the challenges in my life, because in my chart I have like there's fours and sevens, and we'll talk about that, which are some of the challenging ones. But it helped me accept that, okay, this is something my soul is taking on. And then as soon as I accepted it and I saw it, there was this peace that came over me, and it just made it easier to step into the work that I felt like, okay, this is what my soul's doing. This isn't a terrible thing that's happening to me. These are all gateways into learning more about myself, evolving my soul. And so it was the first really, that clicked for me in accepting, my path. And, the other thing too, maybe because I had such a strong background in both music and dance, dance is very mathematical. Music is all math, which I'll get into in just a little bit with Pythagoras, because that's one of the basis of numerology. And so let me make sure I got to keep up with this. Yay. Okay, everybody's here. So a little bit about what even numerology is. So the whole, like the kind of numerology that I practice is I work with Pythagorean numerology. I also have some Gnostic numerology techniques that I utilize as well, but just distilling it into, like, if I have a base study, it's in the Pythagorean. And the thing about Pythagoras, he was an ancient philosopher. He actually is the one who coined the term philosopher. He was back 500s BCE. And at that time, the learned ones were called sages. And he coined the term philosopher because he felt like there was more humility in it, and that always wanting to learn and expand. And so he was really progressive with his beliefs at the time. He was really one of the first, if not the first, to he held a belief around gender equality. He was the first to not only invite women in to be his students, but felt very strongly that women needed to stand side by side with men to learn mathematics and philosophy. And one of his students, what was her name? I think it's Theanos. Theanos is supposedly the first female mathematician, and that was one of his students, and came to be his wife. And so he held quite a few progressive thoughts. The other one too was he was the first one to believe the world was round. Copernicus kind of built his model on Pythagoras theories. And he also was the one who discovered that Venus was, morning star, evening star. And he's the one who discovered that it was the same body, and that, things were built on a sphere. So not only was the world round, but it's everything in the universe is spherical. And so this, I know it seems like, well, yeah, now, but this was really progressive thought at the time, and all coming back down. The reason why I'm bringing this in is that, this is what numerology is based on, some of these very basic core concepts. And just, I liked that too, that he looked at, that everything could be reduced to a number. Everything in the universe could be reduced to a number, and that this is how we, how we commune with the divine. It is the language that transmits between we and the universe. And also that music was sort of his, we could say, what kind of sparked this whole concept around that when he looked at music and the perfection of octaves and fourths and fifths. And any of you who've ever had me come and do a clearing in your space or come to the moons, you know, when I do the tuning forks with the fifths, and sometimes the octaves, sometimes the fourths, it just brings everything into harmony. And this is where he saw that, you know, there's just this underlying pattern, like these patterns on patterns built around numbers that can be seen, and that chaos is just simply an unrecognized pattern that we have yet to recognize and see, and then it's no longer chaos. And so we felt that you know, the spheres, all the spheres, like have their own song, have their own music. It's so beautiful. So of course I was in 18, I'm like, oh, this is my path. I need, you know, able to bridge something so much bigger from all those years of studying, and not just being an auditory thing. So yeah, does anybody have any questions? No, I think I see the same amount. So yeah, that's a little bit on Pythagoras. I feel when I go into the class, the first class, I'll go in a little bit more because it's really just so incredibly beautiful, what is to be offered. And so when I came to professionally use numerology was when I was just a little baby astrologer reader. Some of you local to San Diego probably know the Mystical Dragon. The Mystical Dragon is that classic metaphysical bookstore that, you know, Elena, who's the owner, she's still around and got her start in the late 70s and has just been around all these years serving the community. And so anyways, I had, you know, in my 20s, I was, you know, working suddenly as a professional. You know, I had my astrology teacher that I had who was working there, Pam Champy, she was my main astrology teacher. She was sick and called me and said, "You're taking my sessions today." And I'm like, oh, I'm going to read for people. I didn't know that, like I was there I was, my career started, and I was reading every day after that. I was book solid. But the thing that I used to bring myself more confidence while I was trying to, you know, work within this astrological model was numerology. And it was astonishing to me how precise and pinpointed that I could go into just even two basic numbers, which I will teach you how to get to that. One of them, you know, our birth number, but you could get to the soul energy or the life lesson energy, which is based on your birthday. And just by bringing that down to that number, and we only have to learn 9. There's only 9 things to learn if we really want to break it down. But you just suddenly are on the pulse of a person, of that lesson, because that lesson is going to touch absolutely everything in their life. And so then when you're looking at this life lesson through the lens of their astrology, and back then we didn't have computers to just pull up a chart. Gosh, do I have an ephemeris around here? If you take the next astrology class, you're going to learn how to read planets out of the ephemeris. So I would have an ephemeris with all the planetary tabulations where they were in each date, and then I could do their number. And I had to do this very quickly. And so doing the number gave me the confidence to look at their astrology a little differently, and knowing what exactly to focus on and what to track to. And so numerology truly is sort of, I don't want to say it's like cheating, but it absolutely gives you sort of like the answer key when you're looking at a person or your own birth chart. So there was that. And then within, you know, back in the day, I don't know if people still do this, but it was such a big thing in the 80s and 90s where we had these psychic fairs or intuitive fairs. And so in these fairs, people would come from all over, and I would do 32 to 36 readings in a day, 15 minutes on the dot. And I just probably built my practice out of those 15-minute readings, mostly doing their numbers. It was their numerology, because I had this very small amount of time to just target in. So between their life lesson and knowing what that was, and then knowing the cycle, the year that they were in, so I could get straight to who they are, what they're mostly working on, and then where they are within that evolutionary path. Because what happens is, the whole thing of the numbers, it not only gives us this base of like the fabric of everything, everything, absolutely everything can be reduced to a number, and we can figure it out. It's not super complex math. If you can add, that's all you got to do. You have fingers, you can use your fingers if you have to. We have calculators. So don't feel like, if you don't feel like you're a math person, that this cuts you out. It's so easy. You're going to end up loving numbers. But anyways, it gets you right to where we need to be. And so within the everything reducing to a number, including us, we also experience number vibrations in time, because just like we see in a chart, and the planets continue to move around and interface with us based on our blueprint chart. It's the same thing with numerology, and that we go through 9-year cycles, and we're always somewhere within this evolutionary cycle, and we just repeat it over and over again. And so this is something that if you can just find and focus on 2 things in your own growth, this is my suggestion to start with this. The other part too is that I think I mentioned this with my astrology students when I sent this out to you, that this will make the study of astrology much easier. It just brings it down, because you get to distill down to a couple core understandings. And then when you bring that into your astrological practice, it kind of takes the noise out of all the multiple things going on. And you will know, like you just like in traditional Chinese medicine, when you take a pulse, you look at the tongue, you take a pulse, and you can gather a lot from just two things. So it's the same here with the numerology. So you kind of have an idea of where a person is when you're looking at these, endless astrological planetary patterns, and kind of can tune into where the work is needed, whether again it's for yourself or if you're working with another person. And I'm going to check in here and see if there's any questions. I want to make sure, I'm always just talking away. So, okay, great. So if we can just get down to those 2 components, again, we can gather, honestly, we can gather everything we need to know. Astrology most definitely gets extremely detailed, and you get into the fine little tiny bits. But if you just have your numerology, you can gather everything you basically need to know. The other numbers that we have, just like we have a numerology chart, we have beyond the our life lesson. So we have a life lesson number that's derived from our birth date, the date we're born, and I'll show you how to calculate that in a few minutes here. But we have our life lesson, but then the name we're given at birth is another level of intel that we can gather. And so we have our soul number, we have our what I call outer expression number, some people call personality number. I can't remember, other people call it different things, but I look at it as outer expression. So it's sort of like that ascendant vibration, like how we're interfacing. It's the same energy where we're interfacing us. So we could look at even the soul as kind of like a solar energy, depending on if you're born morning in daytime or nighttime. It might be more lunar if you're a night person looking at the moon in your chart, or day if you're the sun if you're a day person. But anyways, we have like the soul's sort of agenda. So we've got that number. Then we have the outer expression of like, okay, how do I bridge and bring this in? And then we take those two numbers and then we come up with the destiny number. And the destiny is sort of like an integration number of when we're feeling balance and using the soul energy has a way to sort of move through out into the outer world and what it is we are looking to complete. And it's important to understand that the beauty of numerology and that basic chart that we're looking at, we can see it's not always about success. Like success to the soul doesn't mean you built massive wealth or fame. That may be something that comes along through utilizing your unique offering that you have, but the soul is looking at evolving to move into illumination, into whatever you want to call it, enlightenment. I prefer illumination because it's more of like that, being able to see. So you can see the world for what it is, you see, and then you have more possibilities available to you to expand out of this, earth school and into higher places of evolving. And so with the numbers, I wanted to bring that in, that we don't want to look at, okay, well, oh, I'm a 3. My life lesson is a 3 and there's 1 through 9. I must not be very evolved. I'm only on 3 or 1. And right here is a good place to have you reframe around that it has no indication of measuring the evolvement of your soul or the evolvement of your being. You could be a very advanced soul and choose some of the other numbers because it's like the missing thing. It's sort of like within our chakra system. This is something I look at too on a spiritual level when I'm channeling, is that people tend to focus, those spiritually minded ones, on the chakras from here up. And what's not realized is that we need to be in balance in all the chakras from the base to the top and beyond. If we don't have everything in balance, then we're not in alignment. And so it's the same thing. So when you go in, we don't want to be judging, oh, look at, they're only 1. I actually think one might be my favorite number. Oh, I'm using my vintage, there it is, 1 glass. It's unity, it's alignment. It's kind of like the same thing as Aries, where Aries can be accused of being the first sign, and they're very basic and childlike, where I look at it as you can take a very advanced soul, plant it in a Aries or a 1 energy, and it doesn't have all the layers of this world and the patterns of this world, that it's able to like be spirit embodied. You've probably heard me say that before. And so yeah, we want to make sure that we have that clear. And then utilizing these energies, once again, we have these all combined, we're able to sort of enlighten or become of service. And that's where we do, well, sorry, I want to mention one more thing. The number 9, if someone has a 9 life path or life lesson number, that one is kind of connected. We can see it. It's like a hinge point lifetime, meaning it is sort of, it has like last lifetime energy. So it could be last lifetime in this earth plane, or its last lifetime within learning a series of things that the soul's trying to, like a series of lifetimes. And so it's that sort of graduation, initiation. And if you have a lot of nines, especially in your life lesson zone, you're at the point where, oh, I need to transmit what I know. It's my responsibility to transmit this to a humanity level. So that is the one number. And then the other ones, which we'll talk about like in the course, are the master numbers. So when we're reducing numbers, if we come to some of the double digits, so really I use 11, 22, 33. There are many numerologists that will only use those three because they don't feel like humanity is capable of vibrating higher than that. But absolutely, in my practice, many can vibrate, especially some of these newer beings. And when I say newer beings, I mean like even those of you in adulthood, though newer to earth plane, because you answered a call like, I'm here to help. Okay, you guys need some help on doing some little cleanup and radically turning things around. So we do have a lot of people who can operate at 44 and 55. And it's an unusual thing, I think, to see the 66, 77, 88, 99. That's like when you're in your dream state, do we access those? But those are numbers. When we see those numbers, it's sort of like, okay, I kind of graduated, but I'm coming in and serving, that I want everyone else to illuminate to the same place I have. And so there's while there can be this temptation to go into spiritual superiority, is that the right word? There's probably another word for that, but it means that you're here in service. It means you actually hold more responsibility to come in with those numbers. And the other thing I always try to show is that, like, if you're a 22, like as high as the energy goes is also below the 0 point, as low as it goes. So it actually can be a little more challenging to have to hold and navigate those master numbers. Let me see, I think I saw something come in. You mentioned ephemeris, not sure if spelled. Oh, ephemeris. Oh my God, I love it. Anonymous attendee. That's really cool. Let me tell you what an ephemeris is. Golly, I don't have all my books right here. So what? Okay, sorry, I'm scanning, and I don't see it. So an ephemeris is a book that has a lot. It looks really intimidating when you very first look at it, because you open, I wish I had it. It's like, super thin, like paper, like the Bible, like that thick book, very thin paper with lots of little tiny numbers. But it's actually just like numerology. It looks daunting, but it's super easy. So what an ephemeris is, it's literally a tabulation of the astronomical movement of all the planets. So it tells us when a planet is in a sign, for how long it's in a sign, and when it moves out and does all the planets. You can Google and see an image. Oh, Lori, hi, Lori. Oh my gosh, I just saw a Cami. Oh, it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. I'm such an Australian shepherd. I always tell people, I'm always so excited to see everybody. Okay, so yeah, ephemeris. It's an important book. Everyone should have one of those in their library as well. And I think I already said it. I don't care if you continue and take the class. I always tell people this is one of the books. Everyone needs to have this book in their library as a reference, because it is, we'll go through it, but they just do such a good job with all of the compound numbers, which we'll learn in the class, and gives you a really good translation of something, if it's one of your personal numbers, or if it's a number that is a temporary vibration, which takes me into the next level of like what a temporary vibration is. And it also gives all the tarot symbolism. I just absolutely I think I was just open to the number 16? I think I was, the tower, which is interesting. Let me see, who else? I miss you too. Yeah. So what a temporary number is, so that's part of that when we're experiencing time numerologically. A couple places we experience that. We're always in some cycle, numerological cycle. And I don't know who it was, if it was Dan Milliman, somebody kind of screwed things up, in my humble opinion, and maybe to make it easier, that says your yearly cycle starts on January 1st with everybody else. But again, I mean, tens of thousands of people I've read for it. We start our cycle on our birthday, because that's the day the energy changes. So every birthday, just like you have a solar return chart, it's the same thing. We have a numerological cycle that starts. And so that's one way to experience a temporary energy. So we could be, a 3, but then having to go through a cycle of 8 or something else. And so you feel like we see what that medicine brings to your life lesson. Like 8 would be a lot of structure and bringing limitation into that. 3, that's so, well, I'll give you guys a quick rundown too, of like just really simple keywords around each number at the end here. But anyways, that's one way. The other way, which I will be so excited, the last module of the numerology course we're going to be teaching, and I think everybody knows, after this we do have I have a 4-week numerology course starting, where you're going to learn how to do all of this. But addresses, to me, this is one of the most profound use of numerology. Even if you don't look at yourself, if you look at the vibration of a dwelling, a house, your doctor's office, there's, again, no limit. Everything reduces to a number. You can eradicate something if you live in a challenging number by simply moving. I have other little techniques on my space clearing. Like there are some tricks I have, like if, say, you live in a 16 house, 16 sevens are not the easy ones. 13 fours are not the easy ones, but there are little strategies. But you can move and it makes it easier. Or you can be in a very supportive environment. My favorite number is 19, 1. It just, everybody operates in a clean, harmonious way. It's the sun card in tarot, and it just has, buoyancy, and people are still connected, but there's this non-competitive energy of just like, ooh, good for you. Oh, great. No weird dysfunction. So if you're looking to bring reparative energy, you can look for a certain number that would help lighten your load. And sometimes just moving alone, like that's the issue of just one hardship after another, after another, after another. Say you live in a 13 and you move, and it's like, your load is suddenly lighter. So the addresses are the other big thing that really proved numerology to me. And I love it. Back when I worked at Mystical Dragon, I had a whole workshop focused just for real estate agents. And I loved it because they would prove numerology, because even if you look for things, you can see mostly the houses that are available that come up for sale most often are the 16s, or we'll make it simple, 7s and 4s, and sometimes 5s too, because 5, not that 5 is hard, it just have very quick energy, but those are the numbers that come up. Those are always for sale. The ones that have the really juicy numbers, like say the 1s and 6s, are really nice for living. 3 is very light to live in. That those don't come around very often because people are happy there. So it's, again, just super fascinating how it, like, works. Okay, let's see who else I have. Scrambled, I love it. That's amazing. Seriously. Is it just the house number or does zip code have an impact? Oh, hi, Shannon. East Coast Shannon. Hi. That's a really good question, because what you can do is you could do it very elaborate, and you can add the street name, reduce that, and get all the way to your number. But really, it's that number of the house. The zip code, when we're looking at zip codes, we're looking at collective energy. So it could be an energy that sort of kind of tells the personality of that community. So it's a test. Not test. It's an exercise. Go forth and and break that down and see how it tracks for you. I just realized, it's funny, I've never done it, but I love where I live, and my zip code reduces to a 19-1. And people are really, I'm laughing because truly in my community, it's like, at first I was like, oh, it's kind of considered a conservative community. And I was at first like, oh, I don't know, it's too much. But then I realized, oh, nobody cares what anybody else is doing. It's like, hey, good for you. You're doing astrology. That's interesting. They weren't threatened. People aren't threatened by other people's belief systems in my community, which is ironic. And so anyways, I love that, Shannon. That was a good one. So that is the collective energy I noticed here. And so what else was I going to say? Something to do with numbers. Let's see if there was another one. Also, oh yeah, I know what I wanted to say too, is that with, like say you live in an apartment building, that's another thing. You have the number on your apartment building. So everyone in that building kind of shares collectively this overtone of a number. And then whatever your apartment number, it might be a letter or a number, you look at that, that's your individual energy. It's sort of like, okay, here's the core energy. So, if you live in apartment 103, it's like, okay, the building number might be easy, but it's like, that's going to be the apartment that just has turnover and turnover and turnover, because it's like when we live in 4s, but really 13s, and 13 means 1 + 3 is 4. There you go. There's numerology. That's how complicated it is. You're just adding numbers. But it's like, it makes you work. You have to work. It just keeps you in a cycle of working. And once you complete something else comes up to work on and ground and structure, which can be a positive thing for some people, but yeah, it can be hard. And then you would add like your apartment number mixed with your big building number. And that gives you sort of like, we could say the integrated energy of possibility. Let's see what else is coming up in here. The 19 was a karmic number. So 19, I look at as a karmic number. Karma doesn't mean negative. Karma doesn't mean bad. It's to me one of the, we could say, positive karmic numbers that you're kind of being given. And if it's say in your birth numbers, your base chart, then it's like you're being asked, and this is my language, this is how I translate it, is that you are being given a gift of the light, that solar light of like pure creative energy, to just have beautiful expression out in this world, out in creating in this world. And so there's like a contract is how I would look at that, Molly. Hi, Liv, can you explain 19-1? What do the two numbers reflect? So very good, Julie. I don't know if I kind of just, oh, Claudia, hi, Claudia. With the night, so what the two numbers are. When I keep saying this, I'm kind of just like jumping right to it instead of just keeping to single digits. Well, there's only a few ways to get to the number 1. So with 19, we're taking 1 plus 9 equals 10. And then we take the 0 out and we just get to 1 into the single digit. So 19, the number 19 reduces to the number 1. There, again, there's only a few other ways. We have 91 and we have 10. We have 55. There's 1 is not as easy to get to, but yes, that's what that is. And again, I'll go deeper into it in the course, but are there any remedies? Okay, I love, Claudia, you're asking me that. That's great. Like, okay, so this is really funny. One of the remedies that I do, if it's a negative house, I'm always shooting for 19. It's my favorite. As I love the Q&A, we're at 19 as I say that. So I will go to the hardware store and I will buy those little reflective numbers, you know, that like stickers that you can put on a house. If you have a mailbox on the outside, I tape them underneath and I just add the extra number that will make it a 19 or make it a 1. That's a remedy. Also, another thing you can do on your house, and by the way, a little feng shui tip too, you don't ever want your numbers descending down, how you see a number like 718 in descending order, because then the energy goes down. You want to do it straight across or going up. But what I'll do is get another number at the same kind of numbers that are put on the house, of again, making it a good number, and then just paint the house color over that number. So the number's there, but you still legally have the correct address on your house. Those are 2 really good remedies that work. It's kind of crazy how well it works. Okay, if so, I'm 4015, and 3 is my house number 8. No, Dominique, you're not going to worry about your, don't worry about the area code or your, yeah, not area code. That's for the phone, your zip code. You don't want to worry about your zip code being added. Don't add that into your base numbers. Your number would be 4015. That's it, period. So yeah, the zip code is more of a collective energy. Renee, hi. Perfect, Molly. Go for it through. What does that mean? Maybe you just answered and I'm typing. Is there there is absolutely a contract, Renee, with living in a 103 for sure. But probably learn how to have like the grounding. It just would see, you know, there can be stability. The thing with the 13 fours, if we do the work, it does reward us. It's not, you know, all terrible. Hi, Ashley. What if you are a number and a letter? Exactly. Oh, so good. So that's coming up where we'll have like each letter, just like I was saying when we have our birth name, each letter vibrates to a specific single digit number. And so if your address here is 2431A, we're stoked because A is 1. It's number 1. So it just more, again, unity. So I think of 1 not so much as having to be individuated as much as trying to bring into unity. So that's great. And then 2 4 is 6 6 4. Oh, it's an 11 if we put it together, because it's 1 1. Because 2431 is a 1, and then A is a 1, and we just keep it together. So don't move. Good space. So another thing that I wanted to bring up too, that I think I said I would do in the webinar, is the whole idea. This is another kind of sort of like spirit talking to us when we see numbers. People are now noticing, like when you see the numbers in triplicate, like 111, 222, 333 in different configuration patterns, or 1212. And another one I'll talk about in just a second. But one of the things, this came in channeling during a session, that when we see numbers in triplicate, what that means are one of two things. Either we're being asked to unify ourselves, body, mind, soul, above, below, our place in the center, all those three energies. We're either being asked to stop, focus, and like sort of unify body, mind, soul, because there is something that wants to come through, some kind of coding, we don't have to know what it is with our frontal lobe, but something wants to come in. Or we scan, like when we see it, like, where am I at right this second? Like, what am I thinking? Where am I? That you're being acknowledged that you are in a state of alignment of body, mind, soul. Again, above, below, our place in the center. We could be, past, present, future, all of those things converging in time. It's like that, what, some people call it like that, the still point in breath, which is where we can bring in the most divinity. And of course, each, I'm a big believer in, if 333 means something to you, that it hits you, you trust that translation. We are in a place where we're ready to start trusting our own inner guidance, which is why I'm so motivated to begin to sort of like, okay, teach these things that I've been working with many of you over these decades. I have many of you in here that I've been with for so many years. And I want you to be able to do this for yourself and for others. And, so I feel like, yeah, you're ready. Everyone's ready to listen to your own inner guidance, your own inner wisdom. And what this does, putting these things in place, just gives a structure for you to be, whether it's numerology, whether it's astrology, feng shui, we have so many gifts of things that humanity has been gifted with, to sort of put a structure in, so it makes it easier for you to translate. And so anyways, so you could go through like I said, whatever these numbers mean to you, but just, really simply, I'll see what these are, these questions. Oh my God, I love seeing all the questions. Yes. Oh, I love it. Yesterday, 222, 555 today, 1111 so far. I took a picture. I woke up this morning, had to take a picture because it was like, oh my gosh, doing the numerology class tonight. It came up 555. This is when I woke up. So I took a screenshot. It's so cool. But I just thought I would go super, super quickly, that this is kind of we'll go into this more in the course, but when we see 333, 666, 999, those are carriers of divine feminine energy. So I always look at this as being, I'm being asked to sort of go into a yin mode, into inner, into wisdom, to be receptive. That's the shh, listen, zip the lip, and listen, be receptive. Those three sets. And the more masculine or yang vibration are the 111, 555, 777. And then if we have like 000, I look at that as blended. It's like balance, everything's in balance when we see the 3 zeros. But the 111, 555, 777, the masculine yang, not gender, meaning a way of of experiencing energy. So that would be moving your energy up. It's like, go, act, get moving, get up. And then of course we can, break a lot of those down into deeper things. Like even people ask about 666, and I just look at, for me, 666 is sort of, it is a divine feminine energy. No wonder it's been demonized in the past. But it's sort of like, it kind of has the material world. It's, we're born of wombs, that material coming in, that like our actual human body that we were given as container for our soul. So I don't look at it as a negative, but also a progress report of like, am I being too materialistic, or am I in balance in myself? So that's how I would look at that. Okay, let me go into these other ones. Oh, Carrie, hi, Carrie. 444, love 444. I know I didn't say 444. 444 I love because it's again, 4 base number is the most foundational structural energy. So when you see foundation structure like cement, like moving things coming in to find their place, and we have 3 levels of that. Body, mind, soul is in alignment, that structure. I look at it too as a sort of like a job well done, like you just accomplished something, or you're in the process of accomplishing something, because the 4s are sort of manifestation, outer world stuff. And I have to go back up here. I love it with it's just kind of perfect. Deborah, my address is 1011. Does that mean I add it together and ends up being a 3? Close to a triplicate, but not quite. It actually is triplicate. I do look at that. When I see zeros, we just remove them. Every time a 0 comes up, it gets removed. So we're looking at a very clean 111 vibration, which is extra juicy. It's one of my favorite numbers, is 111. Oh, I know what else I wanted to say is that, oh, and Kemi's in here. Hi, Kemi. Mwah. Mother, daughter, juiciness. Cannot believe how juicy these women are. The other thing I wanted to bring up too, real quick, is that when we see something where numbers are mirroring each other, like 1221, that would be another, I guess that's like the biggest mirroring number, or 1001, that we're literally mirroring. We want to be aware that it might be telling us, ooh, something I'm upset about, I'm receiving myself back to me. That's one translation, because that is important, that we know where our blind spots are too. And I feel like that's a blind spot. It's a blind spot communication from spirit or from our higher self telling us, look at the clock right now. And that 2 things, we can decide in that moment, oh, it is my intention to only reflect back other people's light to them, because it can be 2 things. Either someone's bouncing their stuff off of us, and so we need to clean that up, or we may be projecting our stuff onto somebody else. So it's one of those check-in times. The other thing I wanted to say too, that is a really strong spirit energy communication, is when you see like your birthday, it's like come back into alignment, or the time you were born. I see my time of birth all the time. It's like, okay. And what's really for me too, like when you become more astrological, which in the next level, we get into the degrees. And so like even the degree in minute, you might of, different things, you see that like of a prominent planet, and you just, oh, okay, pay attention. Those energies are tracking right now. And I either need to slow down right now and pay attention, or just stop and receive whatever is trying to come in. Take a breath. I know I said that I would tell you, this is Can you use numbers for compatibility, like your house number reduces this? Oh, Amy. And hi, Amy. There's a whole compatibility, yes, way of working with these things. Just like music, right? I wish I don't have all my tools right here. Just like we have, if I had the tuning forks, I could show you that two different tones might feel very dissonant and it's like, ugh. And so we might kind of, it would explain sort of that dissonance that would be underneath, that compatibility energy. There are definitely numbers that work well together and numbers that kind of challenge each other. And just like with everything, just like I say with astrology, you don't have to have perfectly classically compatible charts to be successful. You just have to have enough energy there to be able to work with each other to grow, that there's just enough to yield, each can yield a little bit to the other and then learn, so it's the same thing with the numerology. And oh, I love it. Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Is 505 a mirror number? That is my address. Number 155, one of the higher master numbers. It's one of those that takes some energy to sort of balance. I guess we could say it's a mirror number and that we just have this 0 of unity floating in the middle of the two fives. But I look at mirrors in like 4, meaning we have 4 numbers involved, 2 and 2, where if you fold them together, it's like the thema mundi. You take the 2 sides, you fold them together, and they're perfectly equal. So though in the class, this will be easier. I'm going to pull out my, I have to use my notebook. So does anybody want to give me their birth date? And I'm going to show you how to add up your life lesson number. Anybody willing to throw a birth date out there? So date and year, the whole thing, date, month, year. Nobody can do it. Perfect. Okay. 12. Oh, I love it. Now I'm getting lots of them. This is great. Okay. The last one I have here is 12/29/1988, Eunice. 12/29/1988. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I wrote this down. It's just literally classic, how most of us learned in school. I think they still teach addition this way. And so this is something. So in this book, what this book is really good for is to translate the numbers and give you, again, a really good reference to especially the compound numbers. I don't use this technique to add numbers up. The way that they add this, and a lot of classic numerologists will add them up like all the way across. So that would be, here, I'll show you. 12 plus 29 plus 1988. Sorry, I wrote this at an angle. I'm used to writing on my pad and not showing people. So this would be the classic way. But again, when I first started, I utilized adding in both ways, like seriously thousands, when I was doing those like 36 readings in a day and just pounding all these numbers out. And Eileen Connolly is the one that I learned this one from. And she does more of a Gnostic numerology, which is really juicy. I found this to be the most accurate. So this is how I add them. And so I'm just going to add them classically here. So right up. So there's 9, 10, 11, 19, 1, 10, 11, 12. Carry it. So I come to sorry, my handwriting is atrocious. 20, 29 is what I come down to when I add and carry in all of that. So the way that I break this down to find the main number, I'm really giving this to you complicated, which is maybe too much for a webinar, but I can't help it. Oh, this is a good one because it's, so I keep taking in twos because everything pairs off. This is part of the methodology of adding this way. So 20, we take the 0 out, we have a 2. And then 29 reduces to an 11. I don't reduce 11s. So we've got two things though, because this would be a 22. 2 plus 1 is a 4. Or we can do, like, this is kind of a complicated, that for you, Eunice, we would look at you as either 11 plus 2 equals 13, 4, or we bring that 1 plus 1 and we have 22. So either one, like when we're feeling low, we probably are operating at a 13, but we have the capacity to do 22. I experience you as a 22, and of everything that I know of you. You are taking your work out to the world. Anytime we have master numbers involved, we are able to reach more people. It's more energy. That's why it can kind of ricochet in our own field sometimes. When it's a lot of energy to put in. And so if you want to, and if you just want to add straight across, you just have a single digit, that's good as well. Did I see Courtney? Hi, Courtney has raised hand. I don't know where to find it. Oh my gosh, and I love it. It's so numerology. The Q&As are at 55. Where would I go to raise? Oh, I raised my own hand. Okay, I'm lowering it. Courtney, I don't know what to do with your raised hand. So let me, Elizabeth, hi. Oh my gosh, there's so many of you. Haha, I don't know how to write a question. That's so funny. I'm gonna go through every one of these. If I have your number, I'm going to text you what your life lesson number is, but go ahead and do this yourself. You can do this yourself. So everyone, just add your numbers, and then I'm just going to give you a really quick, we're just going to run through the 9 numbers. And for the sake of simplicity, if you come up with a master number, just reduce it. So 22 would be 4, 11 would be 2, 33 would be 6. Just for the sake of simplicity. And then, but just know, ooh, there's more to it. So I'll give you a minute. Okay. I'm thinking you might have already started adding it because I would. I'm with you. So 1, I guess I have a bias for 1. I love 1. 1 really is, like I said, that unification, clarity. So we are looking at like a very strong yang energy. It is sort of the base yang, clear energy that can sort of be active. That's the other beauty of 1, is that it doesn't let others kind of get in the way and just go straight to it, kind of like Aries. There is a similarity there. And unity is what things are trying to come to. Of course, the, maybe one of the lower energies can become self-centered or like needing to check in. Oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Like that would be a lower energy. 2s, it's joining, it's compromise. People who have 2s have very strong, like sharing energy. It's the base yin number or divine feminine number. It's what all divine feminine is built off of, that too. Of that's where the two things come together to create, a a one, one child. It's balanced, but it also requires, you may find in your life that compromise, like you're always, it's not as easy as the one to be able to like just go and do. It's like, okay, I have to compromise, I have to work with. So you're learning this life how to work with other people. You may be a one and you're like, it's scary out there. Yeah, you're supposed to learn how to go out, be self-sufficient, and you're gonna be okay. Three is one of the easy numbers. And again, I am doing this so basically, like this is just a really basic translation. So threes I love because they are a lighter vibration. It's sort of like, how do I say that? Like that not childlike innocence, but just, you know, that place when the world hasn't gotten to you yet and you still have like joy in life, that can be a three. Three is also a very highly communicative number. It's one of the communications, transmission of information, a little like Gemini. There is a little bit of a Gemini vibration in that too. But it's very self-expressive. You know, it is the three communication. That would be the main thing. So you're learning how to communicate. Fours, that's my number. That was what helped me understand. It's like, oh my gosh, I have a 22 and I have a 13 in my numerology, and I just accepted it. And when I accepted it, it's like, okay, this is it. And when I worked with the energy, it just like got easier for me. So anyways, 4, structure, foundation. When you have 4 as a life lesson number, or life path number, it's like there's a bit of I call it like a cosmic cop on you, because there is an aspect on one level that is keeping you from incurring a lot of karma in this lifetime, where it's like, nope, we're not going to let you do that. But I know for myself, like even, trying to cheat when I was a kid or doing anything, I would just be caught. If I get into lower vibration, like, and I gossip about somebody, that person's going to be standing right by me and hear everything I said. Like, I just can't get away with it. And that's a good thing. It keeps it, when I learn this, like, okay, it keeps me clean. So 4 is you have to work harder. It's a hard work energy, and it is structural, foundational. And you probably find you can't, like, what's the Pink Floyd song? Oh gosh, it's so gross. But anyways, like, you can't have your pudding until you eat your meat. not for the vegetarians out there, but it's like that. You can't go out and play until you clean your room. It's classic. So just, you feel like, everybody, it's so hard for me and it's easy for everybody else. It's like, it's actually easier for you, because if you do the work, you'll be golden. Everything will fall into place. 5s. I love 5 energy. 5 is such a welcome energy. After 4, when things kind of consolidate, dense, feel very Saturnian. 5 is like shift, moving energy. Everything suddenly is in speed. That's like the main thing I associate with 5 is speed, because energy moves very quickly. Energy moves fast. Things evolve quickly, but it doesn't have to be. Some 5s feel harsher in the movement than others. But in general, 5, it's like innovation, it is change, it is like new ideas, it's expansion, kind of. It could be a play between Jupiter and Uranus, those 2 planets. You know, those, because Jupiter expansion can feel good and comfortable and jovial, and Uranus expansion be like, I guess we're doing this now. It could be a little leveling, but what we needed to crack open. So that's how 5 operates. So you might like be looking for stability, you know, like, I want to be just rooted in here, but it's like, no, you have to get out there and move. 5 is another number too that I look at as like one of the numbers of the writer, the actual writer communicator. 3 communicates, but 5s are transmission, like really strong transmission of information, and like the intellect and being able to grasp higher things. But it's a shifting, moving into freedom. Oh, that's an interesting thing too. The US reduces to, I think, a 23.5, like, which is interesting. God, I'm such a jump all over the place, but I can't help it. With this eclipse that we have tomorrow. Yay! If you are signed up for my newsletter, I did a whole thing on, it's at a clean 16 degrees. It's 16 degrees, 0 minutes. So it's that 16 energy, which I would consider the most spiritual number of all the numbers. But it's like we need to pay attention, but it's also the Tower card. So it's like that illumination, and Uranus is right there. Uranus is the planet connected to the Tower, radical change and shift. And so anyways, with that, and I think that the day reduces to a 23.5 tomorrow, which is the nation number. So it's voting and all of that. So let's just watch and see the numbers play out tomorrow, how numerology plays out, that we might have some shock. We'll see. So, okay, sorry, I'm going long. The 6, as we go into sixes, 6 is family. It's the arts. It's love. It's one of my favorite numbers is 24/6. It is like, oh, when I see 24/6, oh, or a person who's 24/6, they just have the most tender heart and soul. And but also, like, if we go through that cycle, it can also be like a balm on a wound. It's just, and again, one of the divine feminine landing energies within that 6 energy. So we're looking at family, but also family drama, and you want to make sure you're not what's the word, like passive aggressive, manipulative with people around you. That can be a 6, like some of those. It's kind of Cancerian, the Cancer energy. There's a friend in here flying around. So it's nurturing, loving 6. That's why 6 houses can feel really good. They're like those, you just feel good when you're in it. 7. So I've been talking a lot about 7. The other one, yes, 16 is the one that's really challenging. But 7 in general, it is wisdom. If you have I have a 7 in my chart too. Of course, like I said, I came to realize, okay, I have challenging numbers. Let's just slip that on and work with it. But 7 is, it needs, if you have strong 7, you probably need to come in. You need alone time, because there is a tremendous amount of wisdom to be shared in this lifetime. So you might feel mute in your life and you're being asked to speak. And there are other ways to get to 7. There are other different 7s. And it is another one of the, like, writing energies or dispensing wisdom, or it would be like the books, the actual books, like, this is nothing of my library. You cannot know how many books I have. And that is like one of my core numbers. Like, I could just grab any book and like, it's like wanting to learn more of the higher wisdoms. So 7s usually have a lot of wisdom, or at least you are being asked to transition from bringing things in on an informational knowledge level and sit with it until it transmutes to wisdom. So that's the 7. Okay, 8s. 8, this is something that I've noticed in all these years, is that, like, people who like high level business, high level corporate energy, high level wealth, like, in order to amass wealth, usually there's an 8 strongly configured somewhere in a person's chart. If your life path is an 8, that might be a challenge for you, building it. But then once you do all the things that 4s you're supposed to do in 4, the 4 energies, you will have success. It's a big energy. This is something that I remember coming in when, again, doing the mass amounts of multiple readings at those intuitive fairs, was that when the people who were 8s, it's like they felt like they had like 3 people's worth of energy in their one body, that it's like it's a big energy, which makes them a little, you know, finger tapping and restless, because there's a lot of energy that wants to track into the world, and it's stuck in one set of physiology, one body. So they need big outer expression, big ways to express it. And again, it's good for business. But if you're out of alignment, it kicks you. Like it will kick you. Yeah, and then 9, I'm almost done. I thought I would do last time, but this is good. So 9, like I said, that 9 energy, like the first word always that comes to mind with 9 is humanity, humanitarian efforts, thinking of the world. If you're a 9, you're probably like, just try and only think of yourself. Like it's just impossible. 9s are here on the planet to really administer aid on a humanitarian level. That aid doesn't mean you have to be Mother Teresa. It just means whatever your gift is, sharing it will help bring illumination to the world. Or we go into our communities. You are to gaze on those who don't have what you have and lift them up and see them as equal to you, but just not having what you've learned. So you want to give them that so that they can joy in the same whatever level you've come to. So 9s are those humanitarian numbers. It's also a completion number. So like even if you live in a 9, those houses are usually temporary. We don't necessarily stay in a 9. It's a finishing up of a cycle before moving to the next level. So those are the 9s. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, we have a lot of, no, I know it doesn't reduce to a 7, but I think it's pretty interesting. Oh, with all the 7s, Molly. Yeah. Brother's birthday, 7777. Yeah, but for sure, Molly, we're looking at a lot of 7s. 7 is definitely a way he gets to whatever he's getting to, whatever his life path number is. So, and bye, Shannon just left. Oh my God, I am like the US. Of course, Julie, you're a 23-5. That's truly it is one of my favorite numbers. And I would love to see, like these now times are so tumultuous, and it's part of it. Like I could go on a whole other astrological level with this. But at the same time, like we're having our Pluto return. And then if we go back in history, when the US was initiated, what came not long after was Pluto moving into Aquarius. And so that to me has very 23-5 energy. And I'm hoping that there are things that we can correct this time around, this Pluto Aquarius time around, and we can get back, I think, for what the country was based on, for the level of consciousness that, the founding people had, for the US, that we've, I think, deviated from that we're able to come back to it. Because if you read, 23-5 is a great number and kind of does explain a bit of the US. Okay, so anything else? Oh, Splendor, hi. Would I reduce from an 11 to a 2, or do you consider 11? Oh no, Courtney Helms, absolutely keep the 11. I mean, it just, the way that I would say you look at 2 is that, like just to kind of, 2 would be looking at 2 as the lower energy, the lower expression of 11. But 11s really do want to, it's of all the master numbers, 11's the easiest. And there is a desire to you too many, it's ready to come in. So, okay, are there any other questions or anything else before we sign off? And just, if you're interested in taking the numerology class, it will be once a week for the next following 4 Mondays. And like I said, I thought before, and we're going to start not only a fresh fresh astrology course in January, the basic, but we're also doing the Foundations 2.0. I think that's what I'm calling it. Foundations 2.0, the next level. And again, this numerology definitely helps you track and, as I said earlier, sort of distill all the massive amount of energy and things to look at that it will help you in the astrology. And just looking at numbers, because we're going to be doing numbers. We're going to be looking at degrees. I'm so excited. It's my favorite part of astrology. And so, yes, feel free to sign up and if you would like. And otherwise, I hope that I gave you enough to work with right now. I hope I gave you just enough to be able to start peering and looking at those numbers and reduce your address too. See what number your address is, and it might explain a few things. So I will sign off if everybody is complete. Yay, good to see. Oh, Janine, hi. Oh, Claudia, I'm so good to see you. We miss you in San Diego as well. Claudia moved to Portland, one of our moon people. Oh, I miss all the moon people. Okay, everybody have an incredible rest of the day and take it easy under the eclipse. That I think it's at 3 a.m. Pacific time. And get up, and I hope to get up and go take a look if the sky is clear. So be gentle with yourself this eclipse. Okay. Mwah.